My name is Tarmack, and this is your Game Industry News Wrap-Up for the week of March 10th, 2018. Almost 10 years ago, Jack Thompson, a lawyer and anti-video game activist particularly targeting violence in gaming, was disbarred by the Florida Supreme Court. The issue of violence in video games always pops up from time to time, but for the most part doesn't get the traction intended because, unlike many times throughout history, gamers are everywhere now. Well, President Donald Trump has waded into the mire after the Florida school shooting, scheduling a listening session where the ESA, ESRB, and the Parents Television Council for some reason were in attendance. It was mostly a round table between the guests, with the heads of Bethesda, Take-Two, and the ESA saying what you would expect video game lobbyists to say. The official White House YouTube channel also posted a violent video game highlight reel, which really just made me more nostalgic than anything. Unless, my leg is twitching a bit. Oh no, I'm getting angry. I might become violent. No, wait, never mind. I'm probably just hungry. Amusingly, it looks like they grabbed clips from about 3 gaming YouTube channels given the watermarks left in the video. Personally, I think that with President Trump raising issues about how violent games are these days, it would be good for him to get some experience with modern-day video games. My recommendation would be a Nintendo Switch, because for the most part, the Switch is packed with family-friendly games. It also has really tiny controllers. In Xbox news, the Xbox One X is getting Radeon FreeSync 2 support coming soon. FreeSync, for those not aware, is a system by which the refresh rate of your screen is set to match the refresh rate of the game to avoid screen tearing and artifacts. That said, after a bit of research on my part, I was unable to find a single TV which supports FreeSync. So I guess the Xbox One X news is great for all 100 people who don't use a TV for their console. H1Z1, a game which was originally free-to-play but then was available during early access by paying, after which the free bit was dumped and then redesigned as a different title and released as a paid game, is now going free-to-play. Simply continuing news on the topic of game developers who cannot be trusted, H1Z1 is clearly having some significant issues for Daybreak Studios. However, a free-to-play conversion does tend to bring in a lot of players. All of this comes after 7 months of rapidly declining player counts. If you're looking for the best time to jump into H1Z1, it was about a year ago, so you're out of luck. On March 7th, Oculus Rift users, as I understand it basically all of them, found that their VR headsets weren't working. It turns out that Oculus somehow forgot to update their security certificates, which your operating system requires in order to validate what company the software came from and ensure that it's legitimate. It only took them a day to get a patch out to force all users' software to reacquire new correct certificates. However, in that time, a great many Oculus users got a taste of hardware as a service. I'm under no illusions that the HTC Vive couldn't in theory have a similar thing happen, as security certification is extremely prevalent among major software producers. However, for a company the size of Oculus to forget to renew their certs is effectively the equivalent of forgetting to put on pants before driving to work. Valve held a press event at their Washington headquarters to talk about and show some of the game which had many disappointed when it was first announced. Artifact, the Dota 2 card game, is looking like an immensely complex title, compared to something like Hearthstone in much the same way as there's a significant divide between Heroes of the Storm and Dota 2. Throughout the talk, Gabe made mention of the lessons that they've learned, and having brought Magic the Gathering creator Richard Garfield on board to work with them on it. Artifact will be a 3-lane card game with a great visual aesthetic running in the Source 2 engine. It will avoid pay-to-win mechanics, but still make use of the marketplace somehow, a point that I'm a little more than curious about how that'll function. And it's also not a free-to-play game, though price was not discussed. Gabe was questioned about a number of other things as well, and while details are scant, he did tell the collected media groups that, quote, Artifact is the first of several games that are going to be coming from us. So that's sort of good news. Hooray, Valve's going to start shipping games again, end quote. I agree, it is sort of good news. Now we need to know what those other games will be to determine how good is good. And our good news game story of the week. Xbox One is getting cross-play, cross-progression, and cross-purchase between the console, PC, Mac, and iOS versions for Epic Games' PUBG killer Fortnite Battle Royale. On Monday, gamers on any of those platforms will be able to play with each other. Notably, the PlayStation 4 is still absent, despite Epic having demonstrated multiple times in the past by accident that it's not only possible, but already implemented in the background. So the way this works is that Xbox can play with PC, and PS4 can play with PC, but not at the same time. This is the video game industry equivalent of being out with 2 of your friends who won't talk to each other, so you have to pass messages back and forth. Tell PlayStation that I think they're being duty heads. PlayStation, Xbox thinks you're being duty heads. Well, tell Xbox I think they're a smelly jerk. On the plus side, all of this childish nonsense does tell you that if you want the absolute best Fortnite experience with the largest player base and lowest queue times, you should be playing on PC, Mac, or iOS. Your game releases for the week of March 11th to 17th are as follows. A game somewhat close to my heart as it's a sequel to the first ever game video I ever did, QUBE 2 releases on PC, PS4, and Xbox One on March 13th. QUBE 2, spelled with a Q, is effectively a variant on the Portal style of first-person puzzler, but with a real plot this time, unlike their first game. You manipulate cubes with orange extrude, green block creation, and blue propulsion squares in order to hit buttons, solve puzzles, and navigate through an alien facility. I'll see about doing a second impressions of it this week, but with a few other video projects wrapping up and GDC soon, I might fail to allocate enough time. Either way, it's worth taking a brief look to see if it's something you're interested in. And on March 15th, from the developers of the Tropico series, a new strategy game called Surviving Mars releases. The game is a sci-fi city builder survival game set on Mars where you construct domes and buildings, research, gather resources, and so much more. They claim each of the colonists are simulated individually and can develop both good and bad behavior, such as alcoholic scientists. It sounds like a lot of fun, and if the devs didn't include an Easter egg where a car comes crashing down on your city occasionally, they really missed the mark. The game releases on PC, PS4, Xbox One, Linux, and macOS on the 15th. This has been your Game Industry News Wrap-Up for the week of March 10th, 2018. With any luck, we'll have a few more videos out this week as I'm crunching to finish them now. Maybe even one the week I'm gone at GDC. My schedule's booking up pretty damn quick, and I look forward to seeing a few new things and possibly reporting on them later. Like the exciting panel from the International Game Developers Association on how loot box regulation is censorship? You have no idea how guaranteed I am to be watching that panel. If you enjoy my stuff, please check out patreon.com/Tarmack. We finally got my keybot functional, which is hidden away in a super secret Discord channel, giving away my extra keys to patrons. My name's Tarmack. Thanks for watching.